Yo, what up guys, MxgicIQ here. So I played the Crew Motorfest for about 200 hours and I thought it was about time that I give my honest review in a full video breaking down what I think is good for the game and things I think need to be improved on. We're going to start out with physics and then we're going to move on to other things like customization, a little bit of repeat content, things that I like about how the content is laid out in the game, as well as some things that need to be added in and changed ASAP. Now, I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe and let me know what you guys think of the Crew Motorfest overall after playing it for the time we've had it so far, as well as some things you guys think should be added in the near future or in future content updates. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Again, please make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get straight into the video. So first things first, I just want to talk about some things I like. I really like the drifting physics in this game, and we're going to start out with physics anyway. I think the racing physics in this game are a very, very good improvement over the Crew 2 and the Crew 1, and it's moving more towards a simcade feel than the arcadey feeling games of the Crew 1 and Crew 2. I really like how the racing in this game isn't so like stuck to the ground and planted. I felt like everything felt like a go-kart in the Crew 2, and it's a lot more skill driven in this game. It takes a lot more skill to be fast in this game. Cars can get out from under you and they can slide around if you're not able to be careful on the throttle and actually brake for corners. This is a game, yes, where you actually need to use your brakes. Unlike Need for Speed Unbound and other arcade racers, this game actually requires a little bit of a simulation feel, a little bit towards the Horizon way of doing things, but still has its own identity. Now, a lot of people compare this game to Horizon as it is a festival game, and I understand that, but I think this game is different and unique in a lot of ways, in which I really enjoy. Now, a couple things I think need to be improved right off the rip will be repeat content showing up in the game almost offered as new content. Now, what I mean by that is even in this recent main stage, we had a car that was already the first summit car in the Crew 2, which kind of threw me off a little bit. I thought we were going to get something original for the main stages, and my just quick opinion on that would be in the main stages, you should include a car at level 50 and level 100 that are both special editions of the two new content cars that you add for that month in the near future. I don't know if it's possible to even change that already. I think all year one content is probably already laid out in stone, but you know, the summit is really lacking rewards. I think the summit right now really doesn't give you anything worth doing. Like, for example, the new summit that just came out for the bikes, I don't even care to play it really. I'm probably going to get platinum anyway, but it's just, there's not really any content that's very intriguing, and the rewards are very lackluster. For the parts, we get one gold part, and that's just one legendary part. And compared to the RNG in this game, I've had clips like you're about to see now where I'll get 32 parts and only one of them will be legendary, and that's with full Goldfinger, full lucky, like 200+%, 80+% on Goldfinger with a loot digger set. So that's absolutely like completely inexcusable. The RNG in this game does need to be upped immediately. The money grind in this game I think isn't that bad. I think the money and the economy in the game is actually okay. It's pretty decent. It could be improved just a smidge, but not much more than that. Luckily, there are multitude of ways to earn money in this game, as simple as free roaming and taking pictures for multiplayer racing, which seems to be the most effective if you're not trying to reset a speed trap over and over again. And nothing is patched, by the way. I have videos on all these methods down below in the description if you guys want to go ahead and check them out. Anyway, getting into some other topics. Now, we've already talked about how they're already reusing content and how some of the RNG needs to be improved. A couple other things that I think need to be improved: crossplay. Crossplay needs to be available in free roam, as well as the fact that even if I'm free roaming with people on PlayStation, like you guys are going to see here, people are just going invisible. I think the free roam was kind of an afterthought in this game. I think they really wanted you guys to focus on the playlist, and nobody disappears in the playlist, which is great. But free roam just seems to be an afterthought and kind of like put on the back shelf, which in my personal opinion, I don't like that, because in the Crew 1 and 2, I did mostly free roam. I actually didn't do that many PvP races or a lot of single player content. I kind of got my max parts and went and did roll racing with my friends around the entire map and just cruising. Now, this isn't a crazy map that we're going to be able to cruise around. Like, I feel like I've already explored the entire thing, whereas on the Crew 2, I feel like there's some parts of the map I haven't even seen yet still. But with that being said, it's still nice to cruise around the island of Oahu with my homies and just chill and roll race or take some pictures or do some tandem drifting, which, by the way, the drifting physics in this game, I would say by far the best in the franchise so far, and the best out of the arcade sim racers. It kind of has a CarX drift racing feel with still its own identity to it. It's way better than Need for Speeds, so I really enjoy the drifting in this game as well. The racing and the drifting, it seems like they got it down in terms of a simcade feel. It's obviously not a simulation racing game or anything like that, but it has its own feel and it's unique, and I really like it. Another thing that needs to be improved is, even though I have, you know, very good settings for you guys that you guys should check out, that's also on the channel, the input delay is still a little bit there, and wheels have a significant advantage when it comes to control and consistency. They are also able to have the ability to use a clutch, which makes certain cars way faster than they would be on controller, which is a little bit, I guess, of a skill gap because you are on a wheel, but at the same time, a lot of these players are using about 180 degrees of rotation on most of their wheel setups. I personally went down to 540 from 900, and I noticed the difference right there. I'm not going to go all the way down to 180, as I do play a lot of sim racers too in my free time, and that's just not something that just works in my brain. But it's basically like having a super big, very accurate controller, and it makes for a skill gap that is very, very small at that point. You're basically playing, you know, like the Fast and Furious arcade games at home with a lot more control, and it's almost unfair to those on controller. Now, I don't know if there's a way to close that, you know, skill gap to controller and input gap at all, but if we could, I would appreciate at least having a clutch on controller. It would be great, because sometimes I don't want to sit down on the wheel and try all day. I just want to chill on the controller, but I don't want to be at a complete disadvantage either. I know wheel is just going to be better because you're able to have more input than you are on a controller, but if we could close the gap a little bit, I think it would make for a more fun experience for everybody overall, especially when trying to go for leaderboards. Now, one little thing that I mentioned in the other video would be to filter the leaderboards. I think that the leaderboards are amazing. That alone makes this game super fun for me. I've done days where I just sit there and grind leaderboards consistently, and that's one thing this game has that for some reason a lot of other games are trying to take away. You know, even Call of Duty tried to take away our leaderboards. By the way, if you guys could, I have a second channel now for Call of Duty and FPS content. Make sure you guys check that out. Link down below in the description as well. It means a lot to me. I'm just starting it over there because every time I upload some FPS content over here, it kind of messes with the algorithm, but it's all good. Another thing I want to talk about is the Grand Race. Now, the Grand Race and any PvP content in the game is an absolute blast, but it is hindered by a lot of rammers. I believe there's easy ways to fix this without completely getting rid of contact, because I believe contact is a part of racing, and it makes for a lot of fun too and funny moments as well, but I think there's certain instances where it's just unnecessary. Now, the first corner of a Grand Race is pretty much a joke. I hope everybody can eventually figure out ways to take that cleaner, but everybody pretty much just slams into the first wall or first turn on a Grand Race and destroys each other. I think the game would be so much more enjoyable if everybody was Ghost up until the first exit of the first corner. It'd be very nice, because players that can take the corners properly will get away from those who just decide to ram into the wall and hope for the best. So if they could fix that, as well as if you go off the road and decide to come back onto the road, if you're under a certain mile per hour, maybe 100 miles per hour, maybe you should be Ghost, because people are flying by at 150, 160 and just running into people, and it's ruining all their pace and destroying their, you know, experience. I've ran into multiple people trying to get back onto the road, or those that have spun out in front of me, and it just ruins my time because I slam into them. And this is an arcade game. If this was a simulation game, okay, leave it in, but games like Forza Horizon don't even allow for that much contact, so, and I believe the PvP experience is a lot smoother, at least on that game in comparison. So if they could change that, it would be a nice change. I don't think it's mandatory, but I think it would make the experience for a lot of players a lot better. Also, for PvP content, I think we need more individualized playlists. I think the playlist rotation is already getting stale. I think I'm kind of getting over it at this point. It's still a lot of fun to play with you guys, but at the end of the day, people are starting to learn the routes, just taking a bunch of shortcuts, and it's cool. It's nice to get faster and everything like that, but I personally would appreciate not having to switch cars. I'd appreciate a touring car playlist. I'd like to be on the track doing the laps around those circuits with other people. Up to 16 other drivers on that circuit would be a blast. It would be super cool to do that, as well as maybe actual drift racing content. Now, I believe all these things might be coming in the future. It's still early in the game cycle. I'm just putting it out there to show at least what I think the community wants. Drift races, that'd be super fun. Definitely turn the contact off for that one, but I think competing for points in a live event kind of space would be super cool, because I was just doing some drift events with my buddies the other night, and they were Ghosts, so hopefully if they ever decide to put it in PvP, it remains the same. It was super fun just doing the drifting together and enjoying that part of the game as well. And drag racing. There is very minimal drag racing content in this game, and it kind of feels like it was an afterthought and just thrown in there just to be in there. There's literally like 2 drag racing races in the game, and it's completely hard to get parts, almost impossible if you're not doing the escape, which is the best parts method in the game. If you guys want to check that out, that is also on the channel as well. Overall, I guess after all of my criticisms and things I think should be changed, I want to say the game probably, at first I thought it was about a 9 out of 10, being more honest and a little bit more like strict, I would probably say maybe a 7 to 7.5 out of 10, which is still a very good game. I very much so enjoy it. I just think there's a lot of things that need to be improved, and seeing the repeat content kind of show up in this month's main stage kind of brought me down a little bit. I was hoping to get a new exclusive vehicle, and I thought I was getting one, and then somebody was like, yeah, this car was in the Crew 2, bro. That's not new content. And it's just a little disappointing. The two new cars are very nice. I made a video on both of those cars if you guys want to check that out as well, with builds for both. One of them is very viable. The other one is good. You just need to be a good driver in order to use it. Honestly, the monthly content updates is great. It's already going better than Need for Speed Unbound, but the repeat content given to us as a main stage car, I believe isn't okay. I think a great way that you guys could improve on giving people the accessibility to the cars that were in the Crew 2 and having them in this game would to be at least make them a gold reward in the summit. Every single summit should have one car from the most recent Crew game, from the Crew 2. I think it would have been really cool to see like a lucky edition of the GTR R34, the Dragon. I think it's the Lucky Dragon edition, as this summit's gold reward or something like that. I understand, I get it, but I think you could just put it all in this game, or at least make it purchasable in the Crew 2 so we could transfer it over or something like that. But the summit cars, I get there's supposed to be some exclusivity there, but the issue with exclusive cars is, and this has been a thing in the Crew 2 for a while now, is Crew 2 exclusive cars and any other additions that you can't get in this game might have a performance differentiator by the stability increase or the handling increase of it being wide body or not. For example, any addition of a car that was given to you in the Crew 2 or even the Crew Motorfest, the new airfoil edition is better than the regular Ford GT for racing. There are multiple wide body variants of cars that are just going to be more stable and better than their counterparts that don't have that, which would be like the Lucky edition of the GTR 34 versus the regular R34. It's going to be a little bit better. It's a little bit wider. It's a little bit more stable. Same with the high octane edition. But other cars that were available in motor passes, for example, like this vehicle right here, the Concept Spear Racing, I believe was a motor pass vehicle that I got in the last game, and I've been using it in the Alpha GP sections on the Grand Race in this game, and it seems a little bit better than the RB18, and I really enjoy the car, but most of my friends can't get access to it because they weren't in the Crew 2 for that motor pass. So it's just a little bit disappointing. So it's just a little thing that I think could be made regularly available to more drivers if you were to add at least one of these cars that was in the previous game into each summit. Something you still have to work for, but you know, there's just really no other way to access it. Even if they made it available purchase via only Crew credits, maybe that would still be something that I would understand. So maybe the motor pass cars that people obviously paid for, they could make either super expensive or available via Crew credits. I just think everybody should be able to access these cars just because of the performance difference alone. So I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in to this review and kind of this little critique and things that I wish they would add to the game. I probably missed a couple things, but I just wanted to get a video out really letting you guys know how I felt after about 200 hours of playing the game and having to go through all the content, and now at this point kind of where it seems like it's getting a little stale. I'm just kind of doing the weekly content, doing the grand races. Obviously it's a great mode and it's been pretty much holding me on this game and very much making the game so entertaining and finding new builds, but at the same time I just think this game needs a little bit more replayable content and a little bit more variety for us as the drivers to indulge in, being different playlists to explore, not just the grand race playlist, being different categories that we can race in specifically, and then making the free roam obviously improved and actually working, because at the moment it is not. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. It's been MxgicIQ and I'm out. Peace.